Thank you so much, Govind, for that introduction. Moving on, guys, the pandemic has forced a nationwide experiment with remote work. But is this going to be the new normal? What happens once the pandemic is over? Business leaders have seen huge cost advantage in terms of work from home. However, will it have a long-term benefit? Will there be issues around data security and client privacy? Will the stress on employees increase if they are working from home? I don't know the answers to these questions, and I'm not sure when will I get them. But I am very sure that this debate is going to navigate at least some extent of answers to us. So I'm now going to introduce the moderators and the panelists for this debate. Yeah, Ms. Rashmi Manasharmi is the panel moderator. She's a postgraduate in human resource from XLRI Jamshedpur with over 20 plus years of experience in HR across multiple industries. She's been awarded as one of the most influential HR leaders in India by World HRD Congress in 2016. Worked with major corporate houses like ITC, United Breweries, Thapa Groups, and many other international organizations. Rashmi.
Thank you.
Moving on to our debate panelists for the day, we have Rajarshi, who is going to speak against the motion. He is the co-founder at Verto Bizarre. He has more than 15 years of experience in human resource management. He is for change, solution provider, and business mentor, having expertise in international and domestic business area. He has effectively guided and managed business profitability by building people strength and capabilities. Welcome, Rajarshi.
Thanks, everyone.
Moving on, we have Monica Marva. She is the panel member who is going to speak against the motion. She is a university hiring leader, Asia Pacific and Japan at NCR Corporation. HDM Awards 2018 winner, has an exposure to major facets of HR in a leadership role and possesses more than a decade of global and multicultural experience. Her expertise lies in talent acquisition, HR branding, change management, industry academia, employee engagement. Speaker and guest lecturer at various universities. Welcome, Monica. Next, we have Khalid Raza, who is going to speak for the motion. He is the talent acquisition lead, North and East India and Bangladesh at EY. He has 15 years of extensive experience in identifying organizational needs and providing innovative, strategic, and business solutions. Experience in managing local and global teams in India, Europe, and North America. He was named as top 25 HR executive under 40 by Workforce magazine. Welcome, Khalid. Glad to have you here. And the next panelist that we have is Akanksha Bhatt. She's also going to speak for the motion. She's a managing consultant, global financial markets. She has over 15 years of experience in human resource such as talent engagement, management, IT, ITES, consumer, and BFSI sectors. Managing a premium set of clients across banking and financial services and helps them in partnering with them to close the requirements end to end. She tells herself to be an innovative problem solver, result oriented person. Very warm welcome, Akanksha.
Thank you.
Now I would like to hand over to Rashmi to continue with the further session.
Thank you, Aneri. So I'll go back to Aneri's words when she said in the beginning that, have you heard the debates on the TV? So let me warn you, it's not going to be anything like that. There's no Arnab Goswami anywhere around. I hope there's not. And let's see how it goes. So, but it should be brainstorming, and I really look forward to that. And so to begin with, as Aneri already said, that the pandemic has forced a nationwide experiment. So what is actually happening is actually an experiment. There are people working from home, there are people who join back office, but it's all in a flux. Nobody is actually decided, and many have decided also. So what is going to happen? And it's really, really debatable. And we are here to, think and ponder whether we will or not. And I want all of you, whoever is here, to participate in this debate. We'll have a lot of questions. We have a Mentimeter, that is a instant survey that gives you the results. And I want all of you all to participate so that we see that what the nation is thinking, what you guys are thinking. And coming back to remote work, is that already 50% of the people, according to an international workplace report, already 50% of the people are working from home because they're forced to work. What is interesting is that the report also says that 80% of the people said that they would decline an offer if they had 2 employment offers. And if one said that it would not offer them work from home facilities, they would decline it. So people are already, some of them are already clear in their mind that they like to work from home. And business leaders, if we'll be discussing this a lot, but just to sum it up, business leaders are happy because they've cut down on the infrastructure, they cut down on the office costs, the pantry, the tea break, the commuting, the travel. And on the other side, you have people working from home who are very happy because they're with their family, and everything is, they don't have to travel to office, they don't have to pack their lunch boxes, so all that. But then both of them are cribbing also. You find people in the, people in businesses, they think, am I going to have the same productivity? If not, then do I have to hire more people? One second, I forgot to put this off. So do I have to hire more people? And the people at home are also started cribbing that, where's the boundary between my work and my, leisure time? So it's all in a flux. And before we begin, I'd like to, Govind, do we have like 3 minutes for a story?
Yeah, sure. All
Yeah?
yours.
Yeah. There's a small, I'm a business storyteller, at least I'm trying to be. And there's a small story that I'll tell you all, and at the end of the story, I'd like to ask you all some questions, this is a metaphor to the subject that we have today. So this story I read like 2-3 days back. Let me take it out. Yeah, 1 second. I got this WhatsApp post. 1 second. So I got this WhatsApp post. I'm sure you all have got this post, because anything that comes on WhatsApp goes to everybody. Of course, I didn't share it with anyone. 2 people shared it with me, and I found it very interesting. Has any of you read about the Choluteca Bridge? If yes, then let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. By Prakash Iyer. It was an article written by Prakash Iyer.
Yeah. So I can hear only 2-3 voices. Anybody else?
Yes.
It was a brilliant article about learning to adapt rather than learn to conform.
Absolutely. So since majority of you all have not heard this, I'll just read this out for 2 minutes, and then we'll relate this to the subject we have. So the Choluteca Bridge, this is in Central America. In that place, they have a lot of hurricanes. So they had decided, cutting the story short, in 1996, that they wanted a bridge that could withstand all weathers, because there were a lot of hurricanes happening very often. So they got a Japanese firm and to contract it, and they built a very solid bridge. They designed it in such a way that it could withstand all the powerful forces of nature. And it was actually a modern day marvel. Now what happened in the same year, in October, it was, I think, opened in 1998. In October, what happened was there was a hurricane, and the whole city was devastated. Every bridge fell off. Every bridge fell off except for this Choluteca Bridge. It stood handsome and strong there. But what happened was what happened was when people saw that the river under the bridge had vanished. It had changed its course. It had gone in some other direction. And the bridge stood alone by itself, isolated. It was leading nowhere. It was no way to nowhere. It was just standing strong and handsome in one place, unaffected by anything. So it survived the hurricane, but it was a bridge for nothing, a bridge to nowhere. So this happened around 22 years back, but it's a lesson for us today. Would anyone like to come up and say that how it relates to the subject we have today?
Yeah, if we are, looking at investing in things which we think will bring an ROI, it may not really be, because we need to be able to learn to adapt and not, to whatever comes our way, rather than just moving into one mainstream thinking that that will be the be all and end all of everything. So, adjusting to what the norms are is the way to go forward. Basically, that's what the crux of the article is.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Also, I would like to add one more point. So, Khushbu here. Good morning, everyone. So, apart from adjusting, I think it is also equally important for us to upskill ourselves to to sort of deal with any bouncer coming our way. So, I'm sure none of us actually expected COVID happening, right? But we all are doing our best, in our respective organization to keep up. So, definitely, it was a bouncer for us. So, upskilling, I think, is another very important aspect, which can be sort of understood from the story.
Very good.
Adapting to change is another important thing.
That's the most important thing. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So
I think, yeah, one more perspective I would like to give. This is P.K. Gupta.
Yes.
That, we may make ourselves very strong and very effective with a lot of knowledge and a lot of skills, but that alone is not going to help us.
Absolutely.
We have a strong bridge, but that is of no use. So adaptability is I think, one trait which everybody needs to learn.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll just sum it up because we've taken a lot of time. So this happened 22 years ago, but the lesson from this Choluteca Bridge is relevant today also. So the world is changing in ways that we had never imagined. Just like somebody just mentioned that we never even thought we'll have a pandemic and this sort of a thing will happen. We'll sit at home wearing the mask and going out with the mask and all that. So what can happen to our business and careers is also very unpredictable. So as Mr. Gupta said, we should be ready to change and to adapt. Adapt is the word, but how do we adapt is when you take a decision, and you need to take the right decision. And this is where we are today. We have to decide between this and that. Are we in favor? We are not. What are we going to do? Because we are going to decide. And when we decide, we influence people. And when we influence people, it does work. So let's look at our careers. Say if you're an expert in one line and you say, okay, let me do another specialization. Let me do a PhD over that. Let me do more. But what if that expertise becomes redundant? What if that role is not required anymore? Let's look at the offices. So many offices have been built. People have been refurbishing their offices. They've opened offices all over the place to increase the business. But office space is a thing of a past. So what happens, just to end it, sum it up, the challenge is that we get focused on creating the best solution. We always think that how can we do this best? How can we have the best product? But we forget that the problem itself may change. We focus on building the strongest and most sophisticated product of service, but we forget that the possibility that the need may vanish. What we think we want to do, if the need is not there, then we become redundant like the bridge. So let's not, we focus actually on the bridge and we forget the possibility of the river underneath that vanished. So I think it's important to have a picture of Choluteca in our offices and to remind us that we can, that we need to adapt to change and we may need to make the right decisions. So I really look forward to this session where we can, make the right decisions. We think about it, think about the future. Think about the future when you think of it. Don't think about today, because things will change, but you don't know how they'll change. And if we make choices between work from home and work from office, are we ready for that? Are we ready? What if there's a third option? So what you need to do is, I will introduce you to a competency called being future fluent. You know, when you're future fluent, you are always thinking of innovation. How can I innovate? So think that way. Think where you can, you know, you seek out fresh perspectives all the time. So it's a competency that it's a mindset. You can say it's a skill set. Also, it's a capability where you are so agile, resilient, and perspective, and you think of the future. So when you make a decision here, or when you answer those questions on the quiz today, on the Mentimeter, just be future fluent. Try to think when you answer, because you know it's going to make a decision, and this is going to be, you know, it will influence people. I would request you all to be future fluent. So now I think I've taken much more of your time, and I have not going the Arnab way, I hope. So anyway, to continue, so there are pros and cons for work from home. You know, both we discussed that in future, in the beginning. So let us take up point by point, in a structured way, that what could be the situation in each case. So the first point I'm going to take up, the first factor that I'm going to take up is productivity. So what is the real productivity impact of remote work? Will productivity be higher or lower when you work from home? Will it be possible to measure productivity? Open the debate right now. I think you guys already know that for the motion, we have Akansha and Khalid, and against the motion, we have Mr. Biswas and Monica. So my first question on productivity, that is that whether productivity will increase or decrease in case of work from home, and how will you measure productivity? I will open the house to Akansha. Akansha, may we have your points, please?
Sure. So I'll start with something as real and recent as this morning. I woke up. I knew I had to attend the session today, and in my mind, I had run through what I needed to kind of consolidate my points. I got ready. I did my daily chores of the morning, and here I was sitting in front of my computer and ready to start. In a pre-COVID scenario, ideally, I would have probably done all that I did today, plus got an additional task of, you know, maybe booking a cab or driving down, getting to the venue, doing the check-in, and, you know, like maybe 5 more things. And, you know, then I would have got to that forum where I would have really sat in that chair and, you know, started off the conversation with this group. I think the stark difference between the two is that today, in the current scenario, my productivity has become a little better because I don't have to worry about the administrative and the logistics and things like that. I think it's given us an avenue to look at it in a very different lens or a different, very different angle. Because the entire flexibility that I get to do multiple things, the kind of comfort I get by, you know, just not getting into the whole travel, staying at the comfort of my home, having my cozy corner, and, you know, kind of saving so much of time on multiple things that are not really adding as much value, make me feel that the productivity has definitely gone up. I have my work-life balance, I have my family balance. In my daily chores, I'm able to integrate everything. And as a family, we're able to spend some time together. I think the stress is largely taken away by certain things, you know, that kind of would have added it on. And that kind of gives a steep rise to the productivity. I'm tension-free. Psychologically, I'm able to devote more time to my thoughts and to other stuff that I, you know, kind of feel would give me that that comfort, you know, to be able to sit where I am and not, you know, worry basically. I think so long as in this whole pandemic, we're able to set certain time frames, and I take a cue from what Rashmi ma'am mentioned earlier. Yeah, there have been, you know, issues around the boundary, etc. But, you know, if you're able to set that time and, you know, probably put a window to your work that, you know, I started this time, I ended this time, typically which you would have done in an office environment too. I think keeping those particular aspects of, you know, the boundaries in place, we're able to handle this better. We're able to deal with this better. And obviously, you know, you can probably be a little more, you can obviously be a little more productive. Yes. think you need to compartmentalize. And I am not going to talk about what we are doing in the current scenario, because the current scenario is more exception. I know we don't have maids, we don't have help, we don't have a lot of facilities which we used to. But the question here is that, does your productivity increase when you're working from home? So post this whole scenario is over and our lives get back to normal, I think when everything else which is compartmentalized into multiple things of your work, who have kids, your spouses, your habits, your activities, your hobbies, whatever else you want to do, you will be able to manage it better, be more productive and be stress-free, like I said. And at the end of the day, we're human beings, we learn to adapt, we learn to move on. And I very, very strongly feel that you get a lot of time to reflect. You get a lot of time to reflect, how do you do certain things better? How do you improvise further, on what you've done yesterday, and, kind of start, doing the same task which took you 1 hour yesterday, to do it in, say, 50 minutes today, until you come to a very optimal level of doing that thing in 45 minutes. And those 15 minutes buffer that you get, helps you to really probably take on additional stuff, or maybe, kind of do, a leisure activity which you probably, could not have done earlier. So I feel that setting up a routine, setting up expectations with your selves, with your family, with your, whoever you are living with, definitely helps you to boost the whole, piece of being able to do much better. Getting stuck in traffic every day, for example, is not something that I as an individual and a lot of other people, who stay in larger metros would enjoy. And I think by the time you get to office, you take that half an hour of, unwinding, whether you're sitting in a car or you're traveling in a metro or it's a train or whatever mode, and in larger cities, I believe that a lot of people, maybe 50-60% of population, would either live in the suburbs or maybe not live as close to the work, where you could just probably, drive down or, reach office in a span of 15-20 minutes. So by the time you get to work, you're trying to really unwind, and that kind of takes away the whole, energy. It could be probably energy sapping at times, because, you're taking time to get settled. And here, like this morning, like I was saying, I'm like fresh, I'm up and running. I know this has been done. Here I move from one place to the other, and I'm rolling, And there's an interesting survey that was done by Forbes, where it said that about 47% people have reported increase in productivity in May 2020. So I think, yeah, it definitely gives you a boost to your work productivity, but also gives you a boost to your personal productivity. I feel that the amount of time, so let's say on an average, it's 1.5 hour on the least, the time you take to move out of your house to the time you actually take to enter your building, get to your office, get to your desk, you can really, really utilize that time better by doing other things. And as human beings, I feel that, you cannot just sustain yourself by, what should I say, compartmentalizing your time between your work and your home. I think there should be a lot more recreation in the form of, maybe studying or taking up an additional course, or, kind of doing a hobby. It just gives you that break, and it gives you a little bit of fresh air, or maybe taking up a healthy activity or exercise, which again helps you to rejuvenate, to think with a fresh perspective. And yeah, so that's where largely it is in my mind, from a higher productivity perspective. To the other aspect, of being productive at home, I feel it's about how you do the change in your mindset. I know it's been a lot of forced work from home for a lot of people. A lot of people may not have voluntarily taken it up, but I think, how do you tune yourself, and how do you see that, okay, I do this, and I do this. So these are my 5 things to do in a week. How do I break these down, and how do I, put these things into perspective, get my mindset up and running, and then, put all of these into place, definitely, kind of gives me, a path, which I can probably, or a schedule that I can probably put for myself as an individual and help out. Um,
So
I think
Akanksha,
psychologically,
I'll have to add in here, because I think when
Yeah.
we're talking about increase in productivity, you shared about 52% increase in the productivity in the May, but I think there is a lot of increase in the number of anxiety level of the employees. There is an increase in the mental health problems which people are facing right now while working from home and managing all the things all together. So where is that count being relevant for employers rather than just looking at the productivity turnaround? So I think looking at that perspective also makes a very important decision of productivity
And
enhancement.
maybe now I would like to turn over to Mr. Biswas. What do you have to say on this? You'll have to unmute yourself.
So thanks Ashmi, and thanks HR Talk for giving opportunity to be part of such a relevant and burning topic. I think it's my pleasure to be part of such a learned panel members and being among the sort of passionate HR fraternity. So to take the discussion ahead, I think we need to see the things a bit more holistically and look at the scope of influence of work from home. India has approximately 500 million workforce. India has approximately 500 million workforce, out of which less than 7% work in a formal sector. Out of 500 million workforce, 7% work in a formal sector. And out of that 7%, approximately 45% would be working in a manufacturing setup. So we understand manufacturing setup, work from home. I cannot be running a machine sitting at home. So the option itself is not there. So people, the HR fraternity members who are part of manufacturing, they'll understand. Currently also they have to go to office, and they are on regular basis going to office. So that leaves us with maybe out of the entire workforce, that leaves us with maybe 5% of people in totality who may be part of the service sector. So now within service sector also, now let's break up into certain categories. So we have hospitality, we have travel, we have e-commerce, the gig economy, we have security services, housekeeping services. So within that service sector also, there's a huge amount of workforce where in case the delivery boy decides to do a work from home, or my security guard decides to do a work from home, will he be kind of okay with that? If he says, sir, sorry, I'm doing a work from home, you have a camera, I'll be sitting in the home and I'll be monitoring your home from my home, I guess it will not work. So effectively what we are saying is the scope of work from home is now relevant to maybe 3 or 4% of the entire population of workforce. So what is relevant, not relevant for 97% of the workforce can never be a norm. That's what my take on the subject is. So now coming to the relevant set, since the discussion which we are having, we're talking about work from home option for a set of people who are maybe in service industry and maybe who have the potential ability to take work from home as an option. Let us categorize them into, again, two headers. People who are working in a multi-time zone environment, like somebody is based out of Bangalore, one team member is in maybe Europe, another is in US, one is in China. So for those sort of people, the relevance of office had long diminished. I mean, like, because the guy had to work start up morning, maybe 8 o'clock, because he has to coordinate with the sourcing team in China. And in case if he's a training entity and he's selling his goods in Latin America, he has to again coordinate post 4 in the evening. So for those sort of people, relevance of office became redundant long time back, and they shifted to more of a a flexi work time, and there whether you're working from office or working from home was hardly relevant. And I assume COVID or no COVID, that pattern would continue. But when we come to majority of people, they are working in what I say is startup environment, MSME environment, which again constitutes 50% of the workforce. Now, the DNA structure of a MSME versus maybe a structured organization is vastly different. How it is different is, as an entity, when you start working in a startup, it's very important to understand the flavor of the organization. What will work, what will not work? What does my manager wants out of me? How does he wants out of me? Work from home, when you're working in an isolated environment, most probably compromises that. There are 4 or 5 points which I believe working in isolation can hamper 4 or 5 key perspective when you're working in a startup environment. Typically, a startup does not have ability to teach you. They don't have a formal learning structure. Your learning comes more from lateral colleagues. That means when you're in a startup, there will not be a trainer who will be coming and training you. There will not be a very standard, highly structured induction module for you. So your learning curve comes when you are sitting, when you're talking, chatting with your colleagues. They are helping you to understand and fast track your learning process. More importantly, people who are working in startup, they get influenced by the passion or the vision of their owner. That's one of the reasons why people stick to startup, because the learning curve which they get when they are working in a startup, where they tend to learn more, because your role is not limited to a single monotonous role. You tend to have ability to kind of understand how the finance guy is working, how the BD guy is working. Working from home, I think would also compromise that. Troubleshooting. While maybe in a structured environment where you have your things in cloud, you are working on a SAP, ERP, startups don't have that advantage. They still are working on a troubleshooting mechanism where a couple of people join together. You kind of share your thoughts, share your ideas. It's more of an informal environment which helps you to reach to a solution rather than a formal structured mechanism.
Mr. Biswas, can I interrupt you for a moment?
Yeah.
So let's stick to the point of productivity right now. We will go to the other points of collaboration and creativity later. So only on the productivity, because we will have people vote on this.
So Rashmi, what I'm trying to say is that productivity is coefficient of the following points.
Collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah. So if my learning takes a hit, if I'm not able to understand the flavor of the organization, if I'm not able to identify myself with the organization, my productivity will take a hit.
So Mr. Biswas, may I interrupt you a bit here? When you talk about learning, specifically with respect to productivity, while it's a great point, but I feel your learning as an individual or my learning as an individual is not a factor of an organization I'm in. My learning is a factor of what I would want to learn. And I feel that it is critical that if I have a learning need, then that need gets taken care of by me approaching the respective L&D team or manager or mentor, rather than, the organization taking care of it. So, so honestly, I feel that from a productivity standpoint, that should not really be, something that should kind of, stall your productivity or decrease your productivity. Because in today's world, as we would know, a lot of large organizations have also moved on to e-learning modules, which, gives you, or classroom trainings, online, which also gives you a very similar kind of learning as compared to, sitting down in a physical classroom. I mean, at least in cases where, you're not really doing a value add by being physically present there. So I think that way it kind of, doesn't really, in my view, impact the productivity that
Pasha,
way.
the flavor of people whom we hire in a startup environment versus what a big corporate gets, it's very, very different. Today, I am running this organization, Virtu.biz, and I keep telling my own people, I, in my career, would not have worked with Virtu.biz. That means it's a small startup, has set of people. As a professional, I would have most probably taken a bigger corporate, and that's what I did in my journey. So set of people whom we have to deal with, their competence level, their ethos, their motivation level is bit different. Here, you are not dealing with Ivy grads. You are not dealing with a set of people who are self-motivated. They would would want to jump, learn, and people who have that knack. We have seen they'll stay in a startup for 1 year, 1.5 years, and they get the opportunity. They move to bigger corporates because everybody back of the mind has an ambition and desire to be working with ENY rather than Virtu. So that's how, if he gets an opportunity to work with ENY, he'll move to ENY rather than
So coming back to the whole piece, if it's a smaller organization, so even if I refrain from talking about a larger one, what stops me in a 10-member team versus a 100-member team? What stops me from reaching out to you as an employer or as an enabler within the team, asking for inputs? And if it's a one-day activity building workshop, or if it's something, which helps me to do something which upskills my skills, which is for the betterment of the team and the organization, from, kind of seeking help and learning, whatever needs to be done to bridge the gap.
Akansha, for me, learning is a continual process. I'm not a firm believer that a 2 hours crash course can take the competence level from level X to level Y. Learning is a continual process where the resources, each moment, each day, in a maybe in a minuscule manner, they will learn few things. And for me, formal training environment versus informal training environment, things which people can learn from their colleagues. What I have observed has always been more efficient, and the quality of learning has been better than hiring a trainer from outside who doesn't have any understanding of the organization, comes, gives nice talk and moves out.
Okay.
Learning of, so I think, Rashmi, we can keep on debating on that. I think other members are also.
I have a lot of points. I want to add so much, but being the moderator, I cannot even add, because there's a very important point which Akansha said was technology. If it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't have been here today. So technology is a major factor over here. So now this is for, so we've discussed the point productivity, and now what I want is that maybe Govind, you can guide everyone. I can help you also. You can help me. Is we will take a vote on this. But I would like to apologize. At the beginning, I was so carried away with my storytelling, I forgot to take the first vote. The first vote was on whether you are for the motion or you are not for the motion. That means for means do you think it's suitable, or you're in favor of working at home, or the company should work from home, not you or whatever, and the other. So we will have two surveys right now, one for the general one and one for productivity. And so how do we do this, Govind? We go to the chat window. Everyone goes to the chat window, please. So there's a link over here. Please note the number there, 44430. So click on the link, then you type out 44430 and answer the question. I'm doing that. Please do that. 44430. Write it down. Go to the Mentimeter. When you click this, you'll reach the Mentimeter. Then you type 44430, and then you do a submit, and you'll get a question: work from home or work from office. You have to choose one of them quickly and submit. Does anybody need any help?
I think most of the people are able to do it. So we can see the stats.
Yeah.
Well.
I can't see the stats.
I can see.
It is shared on the Zoom. You have to go back to the Zoom
back to the Zoom
application.
meeting
You can
ID.
see it.
Okay.
Quite an interesting stats, but I'm looking out, we have 113 people and we've just got close to around 50 setters as of now. So guys, please participate. It is for us to come up with the right decision.
It is an anonymous one. So
yeah, these are anonymous. So feel free.
You won't be tracked. To answer Nikhil, who said that there should be a third option called a hybrid model. Yes, Nikhil, we are very, very aware about it, but we purposely didn't put it because we wanted a very clear option. We don't want anyone to come in between and say, okay, we want, because everyone would have voted for the hybrid model. Please, come on.
The faster we respond on this, we'll be able to proceed further.
Only 50% of the people have replied. Exactly.
I think the rest 50 may just be believing in the hybrid model and they've not chosen either or.
I think let's move on. So what we have is work from office is 36 and the rest is I think 24. Now we will do this again at the end of this end of the session, and let's see that if we have been able to influence some people either way. Can we move on to the second question now? I think you'll have to put it on again because the link is moved on.
It is there on the chat now.
Okay. The number is 269310. 269310. 269310. Moving up and down.
Yeah, I love that.
Quite interesting, huh?
Very interesting. Now it's like equal. Productivity will decrease. Decrease is winning by 1 point.
So there was one thought which we were thinking about whether we need to mention again a hybrid point, which is a no change in the productivity also. Yeah. But looks like we wanted to see minus and plus clearly rather than having somewhere in between.
I think people might be confusing productivity with how much time they have to spend these days.
Could be, yeah.
I love this, Khalid, that you're making your point.
I was just enamored by the the pointers which are make a lot of sense. In fact, while people continue to respond, I loved what Mr. Biswas said about DNA of the organization, and Monica spoke about anxiety. I think these are the challenges we need to have. We understand. So while taking care of these challenges, because change is something nobody likes, except for the kid who has a wet diaper, everybody hates change. So this DNA has to change, and DNA has to be changed through the leadership. Leadership need to decide whether this model is better for the organizational productivity overall. And at the same time, we need to make a lot of efforts towards change management. Now, what as Corona does, it has not allowed people to manage that change. It's just suddenly happened, and people were left grappling with not just anxiety about rules of engagement, about infrastructure at home. People did not have offices. They did not ever factor in that if they have to work from home, there has to be a quiet corner. And if I have a kid who's 4-year-old, if I don't have a quiet corner, my productivity will go for a toss and my stress level will increase. So the problem is not work from home. I think it is about how do we structure the entire infrastructure, and then at the same time, which Akanksha is talking about learning. I don't think learning stops. Learning is a very individual aspect. If people are driven towards learning, they can find that learning anywhere. In fact, I'll give you an example in EY. What we have done within our smaller team is that we have created those Friday moments where we come together to learn, and at the same time, sometimes we just play Antakshari, because the essence is to come together, because we're all social animals. I think I have seen personally, my team productivity has really risen since the time we've started working from home.
Great.
So adding on Khalid, to be very honest, yeah, Monica, it's a very interesting point that you raised on the anxiety. And absolutely, like Khalid mentioned, I think it was a forced and a very sudden change. But a lot of organizations that I know of are managing anxiety well. To adding on to again what Khalid said, we've tried to do a lot of activities like basic stuff like playing Antakshari, or just talking about how the week was, or what the kids did, or what we did with our friends and neighbors, etc. And a lot of anxiety has been also managed through a lot of wellness programs, which a lot of organizations have got their employees to do. So for example, a daily 30-minute exercise workout or a yoga workout. I know some organizations have done the art of living as well, meditation courses, and you can just pick up whatever you want to. I think it's a very gradual change management process that kind of will which will help us to deal with the anxiety piece.
No, Akanksha, but my only point was like, I agree with the technology organization, be it IT, software, telecom, we are still able to manage the work from home setup and the productivity level of it. But definitely think about the organizations which are into real estate, pharmaceutical, you talk about construction organization, you talk about manufacturing setup. They are actually undergoing a major loss because we are not able to find any alternative for the entire work from home, right? We have augmented reality, we have virtual reality altogether, we are having those tools and technologies, but they're way too expensive. Why companies have set up all these manufacturing setups in India just to make a cost-effective measures, right? And if we are not able to give a cost-effective measures, we are going nowhere. So I think let's move to the next part, Rashmi. I can
Absolutely.
see face on to me. Like, yes, let's move back.
Before we begin that, the results of the second productivity was equal. And I think he removed it from the screen. My memory goes right. I think it was 32 and 30.
32 and 30, right?
Yeah, 32 and 30. So equal on that. So both, we equal. Some people think it's equally. So we see. Now, before we start the second, I'm being a little bit of a hard up that the time is very important, and people should not. So time yourself. There's no timekeeper over here. So time yourself. Put in your stopwatch. See, you do not exceed 3 minutes. Because the second one doesn't have enough time because I cut short to 3 months. So please time yourself. So the second point we're going to speak about is culture. So culture. From a work from home and work from office point, every point of view, culture forms the foundation of the organization. And people think that, if you work remotely, it may impede the organizations from creating and maintaining the company culture. Why? Because, when people come together, and they engage together, they have meetings, they have presentations, they have brainstorming sessions and all that. So you have a certain sort of a culture or decision-making culture, whatever. So, but then you have technology, we are here because we are meeting together today, and it's been very easy. Like Akanksha said, we didn't have to take a cab, book it and, wait and get it cancelled and whatever. So you have technology, you use it to the maximum, and so you can still maintain the culture. How you do it, it depends on the organization. So my next question to the debaters is that, if you work in isolation, in diverse environments, how do we continue to have that strong, motivated culture, and how do we take it ahead? So we have for the second question for the motion would be Khaled, maybe you take it forward.
Sure, totally. I think culture first and foremost gets confused with uniformity. So people assume that if everybody is looking alike, talking in the same manner, behaving in the same manner, that's the culture. I think culture is nothing is a summation of thoughts, your actions and behaviors. Corona or non-Corona, work from home and non-work from home. I was with IBM for the longest time and worked for I think 6-7 years from home. So my culture was still what IBM was teaching me, which is to be blue. But that doesn't change because I'm not co-located with other people around me. It's the ethos of the organization which get driven with every interaction that you have. And another point which is about, the DNA, which Biswas was talking about, and I'm stuck on that point. DNA is the responsibility of the leadership. It is not the responsibility of the individual who's part of the organization. So if we want to drive a culture, and if you see on the chat, we are talking about PLS, which is a peer learning series. It's a culture of learning. And if that needs to be driven, it is the responsibility of the leadership to decide that. Work from home, not work from home. I think the sensitization needs to happen to the managers. Do they believe in productivity or do they believe in just seeing the action? People running around doing something because now they can't see them. And then they assume that, oh, you know what, there is no productivity because I can't see them. The other piece is the mindset change, which is from, are we looking at space, which is where people are, or are we looking at speed, what speed work is happening? In my view, as Akansha was alluding to, saving time for travel, getting up, getting ready, and then that, those innumerable breaks that we used to take, I think all of that put together, if I'm saving 3 hours every day as an individual, and if I have a 10,000 strong organization, I'm saving 30,000 hours every day. And if that's not boosting the productivity, I think it's a question we should ask ourselves, what are we doing with that 30,000 hours?
Okay, well said. So now we have...
I'll take it up, Rashmi, from here. So I think, thank you so much, Khaled, for highlighting the number of hours we are saving. And I am totally, we've been traveling from Faridabad to Gurgaon or within Delhi NCR region, 2 hours one way. It is crazy for sure, no doubts about that. But on the other hand, there was a limit, there was a space which was where we were thinking about, okay, this is my home and this is my office, where we were having that segregation clearly defined. Now we are living into that particular world where there is no gap. At one point of time, I'm cooking. Another point of time, I'm checking my emails, responding to the critical task which is there. And at times I goof up in between that. Yes, my son comes in between and said, I want to play with you right away. Figure out a time. And I have a critical meeting going on with my boss. He's standing in front of me and I'm just trying to wave him, okay, this is my time, I'll respond. So there is a chat going on with my family members over WhatsApp. What time am my calls going to be getting over? There is a lot of confusion which is pertaining. Plus, I agree with what even Akanksha was mentioning initially about right now, because of Corona, we have challenges with our maids and we have all those necessities which we have to let go because we have to manage everything by ourselves. That is taking a lot of time. But imagine a time when we were 2 years back, we were doing our work from home when there was no Corona. We were taking work from home intentionally for managing our stuff at home, right? I have to go to my son's school, so I'll take a work from home, whether half day I'll be spending in the school and half day I'll be managing my office work, right? I have some guests coming at home. I need to be at home, that's it. So for that, I'll take work from home. I'll manage my home as well and I'll manage my work as well, right? That was the perspective. There are malls available. There are a lot of stuff which we have to step out of house to manage that stuff, which is not happening right now. We are limiting all our activities externally. We have a lot of time at home only because we are not spending any time going out for the parties. We're not going out for our friends meeting. We are not socializing at all outside our house. So that is giving us a lot of time at home to do a better productivity and making sure that, yes, we are able to deliver better. But on the other hand, once everything go back to normal, once we are able to have the fresh mind, each one of us are struggling and we want to go out for a nice dinner outside. We want to go out for a friends get together all together soon. So do you think we will be able to have that similar time frame with us, the time which we are having right now? Because we are not spending anything other than this home stuff, right?
Great point, Monica. Just to interject here, great point. I think you have helped us identify where the challenge is. The challenge is not work from home. The challenge is the corona pandemic. So great, I think we have won the debate, Kansha, but let me just address the point here. So corona is actually creating that stress level because of the fact that if you look at why am I stressed right now working from home, because I don't have somebody who can set the rules of engagement because I don't have help at home. So I have to manage house chores. At the same time, I have to manage my office work. Second, perfect example, a young kid coming to the call. These challenges exist, and the stress also amplifies because there aren't available opportunities for us to rewire ourselves after a grueling work during the work day. Work-life integration has always existed. I've had mails on my phone, I think, since eternity, since the time this technology came. That hasn't changed. The only thing which has changed because of this pandemic, we are not finding outlets to manage our... Somebody can go on mute, please. Thank you. We're not finding outlets to rewire and rejuvenate ourselves. I think that's what we need to address, and that's the responsibility of not just an individual. I think every line manager should own that responsibility, because if your teams are struggling, you can't be productive. The system can't be productive.
Agreed, Khalid. And sorry, Monica, I'll probably just pick on one other thing. While I hear you, and as a woman, I hear you even more. But the same distraction on a WhatsApp chat, or aaj khane mein kya banana hai kind of a thing, we would still do is sitting in a board meeting, for example. So I think the distraction was still there in a way. It's just that you're physically not sitting in a different environment or in a different space. Probably should make it a little harder, I would say. But I think those things would still exist, where you were probably sitting and messaging over a phone and figuring out what to cook for dinner, or what homework does my son need to do, or whatever, all of that. So I feel that that particularly it's just a change of place. I think the rest of it largely, in my view, remains the same.
So I'll interrupt you on that point. The woman point, being distracted. Yes, I agree a little. I shouldn't as a moderator, but I agree because I'm going through this right now, and I cannot stop myself saying that when you're at home, it's more difficult because you are there and people expect you to do the things. When you're in office, you're not there. Thank you. I asked one of my colleagues, who works with me, I said, and she has a small child, and she says she's happy in the office, because everybody expects you to do everything. So anyway, let's move on. And on the culture part, I think it was very crisp and very well discussed. What Khalid said is that how it depends a lot on the leadership, and this is very, very true. The mindset change, all this is so important. And what Monica also said that there's no boundary, which is very, very true, which the whole world is complaining about that. Maybe we'll move on to the Mentimeter and see how things are with the rest of us. Please open your chat windows. So the number has changed now. I wish the number was constant. 572580. 572580. Click on the link. Five 572580. 572580. And here we go. You submit. Can a strong organization culture be maintained in case of work from home? So very few people voting.
So request everybody who's writing on the chat to vote as well. Yeah. Because I can see some series of no's on the vote. So just request you guys to put it.
Come on, everyone, please vote. The no is gaining.
Somebody is drawing actually instead of voting.
Somebody else is, my God, it's equal.
Interesting. Interesting.
The audience found a way to have a yes/no option.
How come we have a very balanced, audience, and the no is gaining? I think we are equal. I think we are equal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us still sitting on the fence in terms of whether it can be influenced or it can't be influenced.
There's no option of fence here. So they have to either give yes or no. And Monica, we are winning hands down. While Rashmi might be kind of saying it is kind of equal, but winning one vote counts, End of the day, people form a government even if you are one vote ahead.
All right. I think let's move on with the next part because
I would say it's
running short of time.
Because a few people didn't vote.
We have only 15 minutes to conclude.
Yeah, we have enough time. So we move on to the third question. The third point is on creativity and innovation. So let me tell you something. Right now, we've noticed, and there's a lot of study going on also. There are basically three types of organizations that have formed right now on this pandemic. Three types of people, organizations, you can say resonate with three types of people. The first lot, they said, oh, let the pandemic be over. We'll see what happens. They didn't take any act. They want to wait and watch. Those are the organizations most likely will perish. And I can't say for the people, I may be. Second is those organizations who responded, who did something for survival. Like you have the customer at one end and you have the company at one. Somehow they could not reach the customer, but they found virtual ways of reaching the customer. So they tried to survive. And these are the organizations that will continue somewhere. There was a third type. What is the third type? They changed their business model. They tried to reach out to the customer the same way, virtual way, but they also started new business models. They innovated. So disruption always brings in the new. This is a major king size disruption. And people need to think of the new, If you think of the new, then you grow. That's the punchline. So how do you grow? When you innovate, you have to be creative. So if organizations need to be creative, how is it possible to do it from work from home? Because creativity, in a way, people think that's a mindset that when people sit together, they brainstorm, they're sitting in one room and they argue and, then they're creative, or they think quietly and then they meet together. So my next question to the debaters is that whether organizations will be able to sustain the creativity and innovation work from a home environment. Will it be effective in the virtual space as it is in the physical space? So we have, who's answering this question for the motion?
Akansha.
Let me pick it up.
Yes, please, Akansha.
Okay. So organizations are human beings and we are parts of various organizations. At the end of the day, we are people who innovate. We are social animals. We create, we think, we innovate, we think out of the box, we think inside the box, and things start putting into place. So I think if we are able to collaborate well as teams, as people, if we have the right tools and techniques, and if we have a very strong feedback mechanism in place, not just from the organization to you, but also a peer-to-peer feedback process in place, I think it will help us to innovate and, change business models, as Rashmi ma'am mentioned. I'll take a very, very simple example. The OTT platforms are now releasing all the movies. If there was a choice, the Bollywood would have just sat on those produced movies and, would have waited for the pandemic to be over. But it's a very innovative thought. They get to earn their money. And the whole purpose of, making the movie was to reach the right audience. It's still reaching the audience. So they thought out of the box. Yes, one industry did suffer, but at least at the end of the day, they were able to look at it differently. I'll quickly take another example, Amazon. earlier the delivery used to be literally 24 hours. Now today, when in the morning I went for a walk, I realized that, they have very meticulously disrupted their own model, and the way they have worked to rejig the whole piece. They have started doing deliveries early in the morning, they avoid traffic, they avoid people, they do the right kind of social distancing, and yet they get to their customers the way they need to. Yes, it's flexi timing. It may not be the ideal situation for a lot of people who are not early risers, but at the end of the day, it's an innovative piece. I think the whole pandemic has pushed us out of our comfort zones is something I very strongly believe. I think you have to be able to take advantage of the situation. And like I mentioned, these 3 tools and collaboratively work towards getting an approach in place. In the whole creativity and innovation, we are able to, kind of come across to various situations where with the right use of, your combination of thoughts, processes, procedures, repositories of organizations, and things like best practice sharing, from one org to the other, we're able to innovate, we're able to create, and we are able to run with the same kind of model. I think the only last point that I would like to add here also is that it's a lot of factor of what are you updating, whether you're updating the way you work, whether you're updating your technology, or whether you're updating your systems or the whole functioning as a team or as an organization, definitely boosts creativity and innovation.
Rashmi, I just have a point on what Akashya said. May I?
Yes, please.
So she gave very relevant examples, and I have another example, which is what we have done. So when pandemic happened, and I'm from talent acquisition, work did not stop. So we did create new solutions, new ways of attracting talent, new ways of managing interviews, new ways of onboarding people, sending them their IT assets. So all of this solutioning actually happened while we were at home. So creativity doesn't stop where you are. Creativity is a mindset that you get into. And while what we are doing right now, we are actually creating a solution for others to look at, probably get influenced by. And this interaction does not have to happen. And I probably, Govind and I have been connected for a lot of time. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we connected and we exchange ideas. So creativity is not constrained to, a room. It is constrained to how much you want to share with other people.
Just help me, Rashmi, I need to add one thing, which is specifically for this topic, because again, from an HR perspective, there is one perspective. We were talking about diversity and inclusion lately from last 2-3 years, or rather 5 to 6 years into HR domain. And last year, during our university hiring program, we covered the entire India. So the purpose was having a diverse regional impact. So we hired people from Jammu to Kanyakumari. So that was an amazing capture. We hired around 300 people all across. And after that, I could see a beautiful map on my screen where I could see presence of people sitting all across. But where are these? I mean, the purpose of getting that diverse culture in the organization to make sure that we are handing together, we are making sure that we are sharing those thoughts, we're sharing that culture into a manner where we have that innovation ideas being discussed cross-nation. I mean, there was a sense of achievement, which on one point of time I was having it. And now I'm like, what is the benefit of this one? They are just on the paper. They're seriously visible to me virtually, but I can't meet them in person. I can't bring that live energy on the ground. So, so that's something which really, my innovation, my creativity went on to the wane for that particular manner.
Thanks, Monica. Very good example. And maybe I can just that. Again, as a moderator, I shouldn't barge in, but I'm saying that we did the same thing. All the entire hiring, all AI interviews, sitting at home, the person interview, induction is totally digital. So Viswas, what do you have to say to this?
Yeah. First is like the solutioning which Akansha mentioned, Khalid mentioned. We have to think whether this is an solution for the COVID perspective, or we would want to continue post-COVID also. So if the solution is post-COVID also, that means you have found an alternative which is better than the existing norm. So if it is not, then it's a compromise solution. Same way as earlier discussion, we were talking about companies coming with wellness programs to take care of stress. So, wellness program to take care of stress is a cure for a disease. So we are not eliminating the disease. We are kind of taking a preventive mention for that. So we agree that by inherent nature, anything which restricts a person, deprives himself of the social environment, is not healthy. Coming to the topic in terms of creativity, creativity is an output. An output would depend upon the quality of input. So your output can never be perfect if the quality of input is incomplete. I don't believe that to take a decision, you need to only refer to data at hand. An effective decision maker is someone who utilizes not only data, but what he observes in his day-to-day interface with his team, the reality of the issue, what he hears. Many of solutions in organizations have not come through formal Zoom call meetings or formal meetings. They have come through maybe that 10 minutes fact break where you are talking with people. You are more in your informal mode where you are not concerned. Typically in a formal meeting, what happens is boss is there. There's so many people in ecosystems are there, where many people are not open. They openly don't state their ideas, then their thoughts, because they don't want to really be questioned. And so 70 to 80% of solutioning has come, I believe, through informal setups, meetings, and maybe the evening parties or get-togethers, which people come together. And what I believe is a solution is something where you have to be very specific. You cannot give a solution based on data. You have to understand the entire dynamics. You have to have understanding of the ecosystem, and that becomes difficult if you have cut yourself from the office. You are only limiting. See, you cannot, whether we like it or don't like it. If me and Khalid, we are colleagues, at best, in 3 or 4 days, we might get into a phone call, a video call, where I'll be able to observe him, and also observe him in a very limited manner. But assumingly we were in same office and he was sitting adjacent to me, my ability to observe him, his ability to observe me, our ability to shake hands, open up, share things would have been far more than in any online environment. So inherently, I believe online environment where each person is isolated would hinder the basic human nature of sharing. We are not.
So, Mr. Biswas, sorry, I'm again interrupting you, but I think this probably could also be a nature of your individual nature or attraction, because I have also seen in a lot of offices that if you want to socialize, you figure a way out. It's a mindset. If you don't want to socialize or you're not a very active social player, you may end up not even speaking to the person who sits, in the next cabin or in the next desk.
Talking about an environment, I'll give you an example. Taking your point, you will find a lot of people post Friday evening ready to jump together and come for a break, for a drink together. Same sort of.
Agree, but what stops you from doing that on a Friday evening or a Saturday evening after finishing your work? I mean, you can still hit a pub or a club, whatever, after you finish your work at home.
I'll give you an example. If you seek your team members, somebody saying is West Delhi, somebody is Noida. Okay, let's get together at Saturday evening. Very, very few people are reluctant to travel from West Delhi, South Delhi, Noida to come converge to a place. Maybe once in a blue moon it might happen, but as a matter of regular stuff, it will not happen. While if you are in Gurgaon DLF, most probably you will find yourself in an alternate Saturday or Friday evening coming together, because you're just hopping from office. You go to the nearest hub, kind of have a beer together and then move in your directions. So the advantage which proximity brings, I'm sure that would not happen if you are scattered around the city. And I have my friends, somebody is in South Delhi, somebody is in Gurgaon. We really
So
don't meet.
while I agree in a way, Mr. Viswas, I would also say that, if you have to
So,
meet your friends, your college friends, or, your school friends, you make that effort. So I think maybe once in a while, it's not that difficult for the whole team to get together at one part of the city and bond.
Once in a while, as I said, creativity is a continual process. If you're meeting once in 6 months, naturally, as I said, quality of input would impact the quality of output. Your creativity would get compromised because your inputs is compromised. You are not in human touch. We are not a machine. It's like an AC. You switch it on at 16, it will give you cooling at 16 degree. Till that time, you don't switch it off. But human beings are different. We work on emotions. Our productivity increases and decreases how we can relate with a person or the organization or a situation. If you're not able to identify ourselves with that situation, my desire to be creative, my desire to give solution itself can be compromised. So my point is, while online can be a solution, but maybe if you take a poll and if we talk about, would you prefer to chat out with a person online and give him a solution, or would you want to talk to him face to face, maybe put an arm around his shoulder, pat him a bit? Would you believe that will motivate a person more, or giving an clap or a thumbs up in an online mode would motivate a more? I think the answer is very clear, is physical patting and patting a human. We need touch. We need our senses to operate. That gives us that stimulus. So work from home, for me, actually compromise on that facet.
So I will come in here, Mr. Biswas. I love that formula of yours, that input and output. Yeah, it really works. And the second part, you said that the proximity point, yes, you raised a debate on that. It's very important. You said about the touch, which is very important, but the touch doesn't work anymore, Mr. Biswas. That pandemic doesn't allow you to touch anyone anymore. Yeah, you can't even if you meet him, you have to say hello from, I don't know, 3 gaz or 2 gaz, whatever. Huh? So all that hellos and the hugs and all, and
it's still working for us. It's still working for my team, and my team. First thing with which and we went recently to office. So my first team member, sir, wish I could hug you right now. It's been so long. Last 2 months I've not met you. So each of them wanted to touch, reach out. We're human beings. We seek affection. We seek proximity. I mean, and we cannot become machines.
Yes. Agree, but a lot of it can also be done in the form of the intonation of your voice, the gesture, the way you pick up the phone and congratulate someone, or
it can do that.
It can add on.
Be compromised. It cannot replicate human. It's always be compromised.
Can't do anything now because of the pandemic. So let's not argue on that. We have to settle for a virtual hug. We can't do anything. We can look at each other. We can smile at each other, but we cannot touch each other because you may be asymptomatic. So let's keep away. And since I've got instructions that, we'll have to wind this up now. And on this topic itself, since we are not going on with the fourth, thing on data security, I would like Khalid and Monica to give their views on the same subject.
Sure. I first and foremost, before I even jump in, Mr. Biswas, I really hope that you stay safe because some of the pieces that you said really worry me right now. Coming back to data security, I think it is important, and organizations had some runaway. Some of them really deployed this work from home long time ago, even before Corona hit. So they had their VPNs updated. They knew their policies were in place. I'm talking about organizations like IBM. But most of the organizations are just thrown into this space where they don't know how to manage data security because they never thought of whether they need disaster recovery program because they never thought about it. And now they had to manage their work remotely through their employees. They're working on it. 3 tips, very simple. And I think one is obviously ensure that your corporate VPNs do not have vulnerabilities. You need to ensure that that piece is taken care of. You need to also look at your remote work policies because your policies will now define how people operate and use the data that you have. And third is the change management, which is to continuously train your employees in terms of how to manage the data, how to be secure about it, even if they have Wi-Fi's at home, how to put passwords. It's a thing which we might think it's super easy, but if somebody has never done it, for them it's alien. So I think we need to start from the base and bring that change management quickly and faster and see every infrastructure is in place.
Very well said. Monica, your views, please.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Khalid what he's saying in terms of going back to the basics and making sure that we teach each one of our employees to have these things well in place. But practically speaking, I hope you guys remember in our organizations when we were not going work from home, the kind of an infrastructure we used to provide our employees, be it a printer, be it any of the infrastructure. And it's not limited to the use of official purpose only, right? There was a lot of constraint where it is a complication of what to use in office and what to use for a personal requirement. So there were a lot of printouts being taken out. There were a lot of data which we were trying to copy from one device to another one. At times we have some homework for our kids. We're taking a download from there. We're trying to figure out a lot of sites altogether, which are safe, which are not safe. We still have an environment when you're in the organization, to be practically speaking, once you're not in home at this particular point of time, you make alternatives. You have a printer at home, or you kind of make an arrangements for those bypasses, which we are trying to avoid right now. Obviously, I agree that it is COVID, we can't go out. So we are trying to balance out the situation. But practically speaking, if we talk about a long-term duration, when it has to be a new normal, the new normal can't be this, because this is something which is precisely being very limited space for each one of us. We have to make sure there has to be a complete switch off time from an office to home. I can see my family and friends, they're struggling that I'm working in an organization which is a multinational. Now all of a sudden my US team members initially they used to think that, okay, Monica will not be available after 6 p.m. because she'll be traveling, going back home. But now she's at home. So why not? Let's invite her for a 10 p.m. meeting as well. If in case she can make it, that will be great. That is completely open from early morning. I have a start of a call in Japan at 6 a.m. and then I'm winding up my day at 11 or 12 p.m. There is no breakage in between. I agree, during the day, I still get some breather because I take that breather in between, because I block my time saying that it is a lunch time, it is a dinner time, do not disturb me. But practically speaking, it doesn't go that well. So for a longer duration.
I think, yeah. So Monica, just a thought here. I think I wrote something in the chat little earlier. It's not the problem which we see on the surface. It's the real problem that we need to address. Now, in current scenario, operating remotely is the only choice organizations have. Now, since that's the only choice, we should be spending time on making that choice a better proposition rather than debating that why do we have that choice. So this debate of work from home, not work from home, in my view, is illogical because we don't have a choice.
Right.
We should focus on how to ensure that work from home is successful, and for the next debate, that could be a better topic.
See, Khalid, I think refer to the pointer which I said. For 97% people, workforce, work from home is not an option. So they are working, that they are moving out. So what you're talking about, we are talking about a very limited, privileged set of people who have an option of working from home. So if we are representing the entire industry, so let's admit one fact is 97 people of the workforce is down here working. You move out, you'll see people are there. So yes, now, so if 97% of people are working, naturally it can never be our norm. A work from home can never be a norm. Yes, for a set of people who have the privilege of work from home, only advantage which I see is the organization, since we are not prepared to work from home, it has forced us to think that work from home can be also an option. Maybe a person who was in startup would be kind of not very pally with maybe somebody coming and approaching him, sir, give me 10 days work from home. He would be pally right now. That's an advantage which I see, because he has seen it working to a certain extent and he might extend. So the advantage.
So Mr. Biswas, that's the whole piece of the point where it, as a human being, it puts you in a situation where you become creative and you become innovative, because this is the situation. To Khalid's point, how do you make the best of it?
Akansha, one is compromise and another is way of life. Way of life does not change. There's an alternative. Today we are talking about, because while we talk about being creative, we don't have option. So we have very good words in HR. We'll talk about, HR as a community, we develop very nice words, very nice sounding words, but practically we don't give them option. We tell them to be creative, think about it, but none of enough discussion, we actually give them tangible options. This versus this. There's no option. Let's understand there's no option. A person who is manufacturing,
true that.
He doesn't have option to be in work from home, and somebody who is working from home, his office is not working, he doesn't have an option. So within that limited thing, what best he can do, we talk about good words, but we have not given them people an option that, yeah, okay, now instead of this, and each of the HR members, honestly, I feel we all would get same route of examples, be creative, do something new. Yeah, I think it's just full. The entire online stuff is full of this, but please give something which is tangible, which is measurable, which people can do. And believe me, those options are very, very limited.
I'm sure we've heard you. I think Rashmi ma'am, you should probably, put a break for us here.
Yeah, so I'm putting a break right now. I was thanking Mr. Biswas for the figures. He's very good at all those, 97%. He brought so much light to that. But like I said in the very beginning of that story, when I told you all in the beginning, we are all looking at the solution. Let's look at the problem. The problem itself will change. We're thinking about what will happen after the pandemic. We don't even know. We didn't even know this will happen. We don't know what. So let's look at the problem and let's go back to our Mentimeters and see what we can do right now. Let's do a last bit of voting. 236264. 236264. I'm repeating. Two, 3, 6, 2, 6, 4. And then you submit. Will organizations be able to protect private data? And I think we missed one question here. I think we have a very balanced audience. Everything is equal. I think we missed the question on creativity. Okay. No is way ahead right now.
Yeah, because practically speaking, I was also thinking on one particular point. We are talking about all work from home and everything, but we are missing the point that we are entirely dependent on the infrastructure. We are entirely dependent on our telecom provider, whether our internet will be working at the time of a critical meeting or not. Because, I set it up a very critical meeting with one of my team member to have a discussion with our CHRO just as a gesture of virtual connect with that level. And then on that particular same moment, his internet was not working. That entire planning, scheduling went on again when your internet is not working and you're not able to speak up your point. So I think at the end of the day, infrastructure is not that much capable enough right now to ensure that we have a stronger work from home facilities for all our employees worldwide. So I think that is, so once that is there in place, once we have this infrastructure, we can still think about it. But right now, it is at times, exactly at the time you're speaking a very valid point, the internet will slow down. I don't know why.
Right, Monica, you're completely right, Monica. So what happens is, the way I look at anything is that we're not gonna get the stage set and then we arrive and say, now I'm gonna work from home. I think the way everybody is doing is we're running as we are thinking. So that nimbleness, I think somebody spoke about future fluent. I think Rashmi was talking about. So future fluent means that you need to run while you actually tie up releases. So there is no time for us to actually get prepared and then go for it.
True. Right. Great. So can we have the last question? That is what was the first question, which I missed on, and which I don't know if anybody remembers what the vote was like, but let's see how we influence the crowd. 268310. 268310. Here we go. 26310. Come on, this is the most important one.
Yes, yes.
I know. I actually stood up for elections in colleges both the time I lost, and looks like it's the same thing happening right now.
So, does anyone remember the figures in the beginning? What was the first one, Monica? You remember?
It was 30-32.
So it was balanced.
Yeah.
So now you all have influenced, huh?
Congratulations, Monica.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Monica and
we
Sorry,
four of
Khaled,
us made a right impact in putting the points
Can we
together.
have the figures again? I didn't see the last figures. Please, can we have the graph again? So yeah, so it's almost 50% more. So work from office is a real winner right now. It was equal earlier. So I think you guys have really been influenced by the conversation if you were listening totally. And so I think it was good.